This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Season's greetings, my friends, and as always, it is a pleasure to have you in the friendly confines of our studio. As you can see, Kenny is off this week. Today's show is somewhat unique because we are shining the spotlight on all the Georgia Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Award winners from this past year. For instance, Preston and Kendall Jimerson, their personal testimony and involvement with Farm Bureau and how teamwork earned them the 2019 Achievement Award. Also, a conversation with the reigning discussion meet champion, Kaitlyn Marchant, her passion for FFA and agriculture, and how this competition was anything but easy for her. However, this show, not entirely about the competition winners. Also, in her own words, outgoing GFB Women's Leadership Committee Chair Nancy Kennedy discusses her passion for country living and why she feels the future of ag in the classroom looks very bright. These stories and so much more starting right now on the Farm Monitor. Well, each year, Georgia Farm Bureau holds its YF&R discussion meet and challenges competitors to analyze today's ag issues as well as decide what solutions best meet their needs. Now, back in July, Morgan County's Kaitlyn Marchant emerged from a field of 25 to win the event and will now head to the American Farm Bureau Convention next month to compete in the national competition. Here now, in her own words, Kaitlyn on what the discussion meet means to her and why, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
This past summer was actually my third time in the discussion meet. My first year, I made the Final Four in the discussion meet, and that kind of lit a fire. I was pretty excited after that. I was like, hey, this is something I might actually can do. Then came back the next summer, did not make the Final Four, got eliminated in the Sweet 16 round, and then this past summer, made it all the way to the Final Four against three really strong competitors and the guys that I was against. One other ag teacher, so it was guys I knew well and knew were going to be tough competition, but managed to pull out the win this summer. I really love that discussion meet kind of pairs up with what I do for a career. I like to say that that's kind of my job as an ag teacher, is to create advocates. I understand that not every kid who comes into my classroom is going to be involved in production ag when they leave here. Most of them won't. But if they can be educated consumers who can advocate for the industry and understand what we're doing in the ag industry, then I feel like I've kind of done what I should do with those kids. And the discussion meet just kind of allows me to do that, to gain that information about what are the current issues in agriculture and develop a better understanding of those myself, and then I can take those into my classroom and work on developing those educated consumers.
Knew your idea of building this system and this network, the Neighbors program, so that people have someone they feel like they can turn to.
I grew up on a farm. That was my grandparents and their parents before them, and I grew up on a family farm, and as my grandparents got too old to manage the farm anymore, there was no one who wanted to do that. None of my uncles were interested in taking over the farm. And I think that has given me a unique perspective in I understand the struggle of people who are hesitant to retire, to get out, because there's no one to take their place. And I think that's a unique role we play in ag education in Georgia, is helping identify and develop, and working through the Young Farmer program, identifying and developing people who have an interest in taking on that part of the industry. And I certainly hope that, my son has the opportunity to grow up with cattle like I did, and grow up understanding where his food comes from, and knowing that he is so close to growing up on a family farm, even though that's not necessarily something that's an option for him, staying integrated into the industry and getting to experience some of the things that I did as a child. I think that it is really easy to over-prepare for discussion meet. I see a lot of people, and when I coach it with my high school kids, I see the same thing where they just want to fill their head with lots and lots of facts and figures, and they know exactly how to solve this issue, and that's exactly what they want to talk about. But the discussion meet contest was designed to, encourage conversation and the sharing of ideas. And I think it's really important to go in with an open mind, to be willing to listen to other competitors' ideas, not to go in thinking that you've definitely got these problems figured out and you know the solution, but being able to truly have that dialogue and that interaction with the other competitors. And I'm excited because, you know, getting to hear Georgia perspective, but then getting to take that to a nationwide, you know, how we think we should solve some of these issues here in Georgia may be drastically different from what they can do in other states. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to discuss the issues with competitors from all over.
Smart young lady, isn't she? Well, similar to the discussion meet, every year Georgia Farm Bureau recognizes one young farmer or ranch family for their outstanding work on and away from their operation with the Achievement Award. This year's winner or winners, Preston and Kendall Jimerson of Colquitt County.
I'm Preston Jimerson and this is my wife, Kendall Jimerson. We are the 2019 Georgia Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Ranchers Achievement Award winners. Our farm is currently a 5th generation farm. The current operation is about 2,400 acres of pecans, cabbage, peanuts, cotton, and corn. We currently serve on the Young Farmer and Rancher State Committee. The biggest part of being a member of the Young Farmer and Rancher group is the opportunity you have for advocacy in the community, in classrooms. And for me and Kendall, it was really important to take on that challenge with children. So we have really focused our efforts on having our first annual harvest days this year, where we took an entire school 5th grade out to the field. They watched peanuts being picked, they watched cotton being picked and saw that process. And we've also done that with Ag in the Classroom, where Kendall's gone into the classroom. They've had every 3rd grader in the county goes to a program that the Women's Committee and the Young Farmer and Rancher Committee hosts. And so we've just felt like if we could get the kids young enough and show them the importance of agriculture, then maybe we had a chance of having future FFA and future YF&R members later on. Winning the Achievement Award has been really humbling. When you look at past winners and you look at the other applicants that were involved, and to know that you're on the same level as those people, it's pretty humbling. It's rewarding. Sometimes in the grind of the day-to-day, you don't really feel like you're accomplishing a whole lot, but for somebody else to recognize your hard work is very rewarding.
Well, still to come, a profile of the 2019 Excellence in Ag winners. But first, after the break, spending time with outgoing GFB Women's Leadership Committee Chair Nancy Kennedy, her passion for the job, and the man who's been there every step of the way supporting her. Often overlooked, rural Georgia is the lifeblood of the state, and at the root of it all, agriculture. To show just how important rural Georgia is and why ag is so vital in the success of rural areas, our John Holcomb recently traveled to Taylor County.
Welcome to rural Georgia, a place where there are fewer cars on the roads. Everyone knows their neighbor, and farm equipment on the roads is a normal thing. And the people here, well, that's just how they like it.
I mean, people like to have a little room to call their own. It's safer for their children. I like to think we're a little more easygoing in the country than we are in the city.
The reality is that in rural areas, there's not a whole lot around. One thing you can find just about everywhere you look, though, is agriculture.
It's tremendous. Taylor County, of course, has changed a lot over the years. It used to be a lot more watermelons and peaches than it is now, but it's 3/4 of the income in Taylor County is actually agriculture or selling to farmers.
One person who can attest to how important it is to rural areas is Mike Montgomery, a producer in Taylor County.
I'm a 3rd generation farmer. I farmed my granddaddy and my daddy, and we farm about 1,600 acres of row crop stuff, mainly cotton and peanuts and corn and wheat and a little bit of soybeans.
Agriculture plays a huge role in the economy in rural areas, both directly and indirectly, by giving people jobs and also by generating revenue.
I think ag has a huge impact on the local economy and, rural area around here. Provides a lot of jobs, and I think it helps a lot of businesses around town, and Reynolds and Butler, keep going. I know we spend a lot at the parts stores and, Bears and Butler and the Napa and Reynolds here, so I know, it's good for them, their income and all, and the people that get jobs on the farms and at the gins and other areas around here, the peach packing place in Reynolds there, and so, and I don't know, we're always in town, buying something, for the farm.
One local business owner that knows what kind of an impact ag can have is Bo Barrow. He runs this store, Barrow Automotive, in which he sells hardware supplies, but is most known for his impressive gun selection.
Well, I started in 1968. Mr. Paul Keenan out of Albany, Georgia, put me in auto parts business. I had a 20 by 60 building on the square in Butler. I stayed there for 2 years and I moved across the street for 2 years, and then I built the building, the local building I'm in now, in 1972. And we went into auto and hardware combination. And then we got into the guns through the hardware people.
Reporting in Butler for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Every year at this time, Georgia Farm Bureau celebrates a proverbial passing of the torch. That bittersweet moment when the Women's Leadership Committee chair officially completes her term and hands the reins over to her successor. Well, that happened recently when Nancy Kennedy, on your left, made way for new Women's Chair Heather Cabe, on your right. Back in May, we profiled Nancy and learned from husband Jimmy that no matter what, Nancy is always right.
May 9th, 2019. Nancy Kennedy and husband Jimmy are enjoying a peaceful morning on their farm in Sparta, Georgia. For Nancy, a former history and English teacher, it's a bit of a break from the weekly grind that comes with being the Georgia Farm Bureau's Women's Committee chair. A job that many, including Jimmy, say Nancy was destined for.
Her strongest asset is her personality, her commitment, her love for she's learned to love agriculture, her love for people, and for teaching and education. And that's what this is about.
It's been so much fun. I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of new people. I'm amazed at their passion for what they do. The younger ones are so energetic and so creative, and they keep the ones of us on the committee who are a little bit older, they keep us going, they come up with such great ideas.
The idea of Nancy one day leading the Women's Committee? Well, there was a time that would have seemed a little far-fetched. You see, Nancy wasn't raised on a farm, a city girl by birth, and then she met Jimmy. The way he explains it, he alone is responsible for turning Nancy into a full-fledged country girl.
When we got married and started off, she didn't know anything about farming. I walked in one day, we had a big garden. I walked in one day with a 5-gallon bucket full of tomatoes, and she says, "What am I gonna do with these?" And I said, "We're gonna can them." "I don't know how to do that." I said, "Well, we're gonna learn. Freeze them, actually." So we started there. So that's how, and she has evolved into a regular, or I guess you would say regular or better Farm Bureau woman than most men could ask for.
it just was natural. I mean, we didn't always live out here. We lived in Milledgeville for a while, and then we moved out here, and it's so peaceful, and it's just natural. It's a fit. I love the outdoors here. I love I won't say isolation because we have a highway in front of us, but the peace and quiet.
A luxury Nancy didn't have during her teaching days, the peace and quiet, that is. But you know what they say, once an educator, always an educator. And if there is one benefit to being a member of the GFB Women's Committee, it's the tireless efforts that are put forth in helping to grow ag in the classroom.
As I said, these younger ones are really pushing it and promoting it. And if they can just get in and around Atlanta and the metropolitan areas and expose those children and the adults don't know, any more than some of the children. So we just need to keep pushing it, and I think we will. We've got a good group, and they're very energetic and active and creative, and so I've just been blessed to serve with them.
Strong words from a very strong leader. Jimmy himself learning some valuable lessons along the way, mostly the correct things to say and when to say them.
When she says, we need to do this, I have to go there, my answer is yes, dear.
Old Jimmy knows his place, doesn't he? All right, it is back to the YF&R competition features and back to Morgan County. After the break, we shine the spotlight on Rachel and Jason Kinsall, the 2019 Excellence in Ag winners. Stay tuned.
Just 4 miles from downtown Atlanta, volunteers are braving 90-degree temperatures, turning this one-time family farm into what many agree will not only be a luxury, but a necessity.
Oh my gosh, we need it so bad. The closest store, I'm blessed to have a car, but I have many of my neighbors and people in the community do not have cars, so they either take an Uber or they walk 2 miles to the bus station on Moreland, get on a bus, and they're carrying their groceries. So this is what a food desert is, when you have to go so far just to eat healthy food. So the fact that we are here and it's organic, and we know it's organic, and you could go straight from the farm to the table, it's a blessing.
At just over 7 acres, one could say the urban food forest was ripe for the picking. The site still bears the fruits of past labors, including pecan trees, blackberries, and muscadines. And thanks to an $86,000 grant from the U.S. Forest Service, once fully complete, the forest will feature community garden beds, a fruit and nut orchard, herb gardens, walking trails, and gathering spaces.
Yeah, this park means a lot to me. I think that all of our public parks should have some food portion to it. It doesn't make sense for us to be mowing acres and acres of park space that isn't being utilized, when we could actually be having community gardens and orchards in these spaces throughout the city, and kind of create the city of Atlanta as a food forest and not just have it be at this one park. So this kind of is a new model for a park in the city of Atlanta, and we're hoping to replicate this in other park spaces and other city-owned lots.
The fact that we actually have volunteers now to help this grow and evolve is an amazing thing for me to see. We have people from as far as Africa, different parts of Africa that have come. Las Vegas, Washington, Cincinnati. We've actually have groups that come here and want to help us build this. So when I say it's a us, a we thing, it takes a village. It truly takes a village for all of this to happen.
Of course, volunteer means free of charge, much like the forest itself and any type of harvesting, which is free to anyone who enters. According to Mike McCord, that type of generosity is something the land's former owners took great pride in.
Some of the neighbors have lived here their whole lives and they remember the Morgan family. They remember playing in the woods back here and petting the horses. And they also remember the Morgan family leaving bags of excess produce on the fence posts for neighbors to come pick up. So there's a history of food abundance on this site that we are kind of continuing that legacy here with making it a public food forest. Right now the project is still young, so all of the hundreds of fruit trees we've planted are still not bearing fruit yet. But in 3 to 5 years we'll be producing tons of fruit that'll be free for the public to come and harvest. We'll have regularly scheduled harvest days for people to come and participate. And then we have our community garden here where we grow annual vegetables. And if you come to the site for a tour or to volunteer, you'll be able to go home with some veggies.
Finally this week, as we all know, there is much more to the ag industry than what you see in the fields or behind the fence rows. That is why Georgia Farm Bureau established Excellence in Ag, an award given each year to individuals who are making a difference outside of production agriculture. Well, this year's recipients, Rachel and Jason Kinsall from Morgan County.
I grew up on my grandfather's beef cattle farm and just kind of grew up with a love for animals and did some rodeo when I was in high school. Then went to UGA as an intended animal and dairy science major and just fell in love with animal science. At that point I still didn't really know what I wanted to do as a career, and I went to work for a couple of years at Teton Valley Ranch Camp in DuBois, Wyoming. And realized that I really like working with kids and I really loved my animal science degree. And so I felt like teaching ag was a good way for me to mix those two passions together.
I'm a senior relationship manager for Robo Agri-Finance, which is a division of Robo Bank. We make ag production loans and real estate term loans throughout the country. I work specifically in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, and a little bit of Florida. We design lending products to help our customers meet their goals of their operations. Farmers need access to capital to grow. They need access to capital to maintain. We try to be that branch that helps them get there.
We actually have a shortage of ag teachers in Georgia right now. So it's a fun job. You get to do, like I mentioned earlier, you get to do something different every day. We're just trying to bring in a lot of different kids to our program, trying to reach different audiences. Floral design has become one of our biggest classes, and it's not because it's an in-demand career, but it brings kids in, and then those unlikely kids are joining other ag classes. We teach ag mechanics. I feel like it's really important too, even if they're not going into a mechanics field, to just know how to do some simple maintenance type things around your home, but also just trying to push the trades. So trying to push kids into ag mechanics jobs, because those are the jobs that are open and ready currently.
I enjoy the people. I'll be the first person to tell you I wouldn't be in banking if it wasn't for banking farmers. I enjoy the ag industry. The people in it are very genuine. It's a great industry to be a part of, and it excites me. It's a field that's worth exploring, and it's constantly growing and evolving. You have different types of ag now every day. I mean, we've got, through the bank, we have a startup system that evaluates different ag technologies and just different advances in the ag fields that it's amazing to see what people are constantly thinking of to change and improve the business in the industry.
My overall goal is to have a successful program, and I know success looks different to a lot of different people, but to me a growing program is a successful program, and we've been able to grow our numbers, grow the interest, grow the number of kids that we're seeing going into the ag field or coming into our classes. So I feel like our program here is successful, and that's my number one goal, is to keep it growing and to keep it active.
I enjoy the ag industry. I enjoy working with farmers and helping them grow their business and see their potential. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is helping them get to and realize their potential, because a lot of times they don't understand it completely.
Very nice, and congratulations to all of the Young Farmer and Rancher Award winners this year. We look forward to seeing you in just a few weeks at the American Farm Bureau Convention in Austin, Texas. For Kenny Bergamy, I'm Ray DeLessio saying so long, and we will see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor. Have a great week, everybody.